All right. Welcome everyone to What Are Employers Really Looking
No,
For?
I
The
remember.
Employer's
I thought his
Perspective.
last name was Stanks, but it's
Um, and today we have two alums from the STAM school. Yay. Megan Flood and Kristen Shank. Thank you both so much for being here. To start us off, I would love you to tell us a little bit about who you are and your career path to get you where you are now. And Megan, let's start with you.
Great. Well, thanks so much for having me and great to be with everyone. Welcome back. Fall is the best time of year in Ann Arbor. I miss it so much. Um, and yeah, so my name is Megan Flood. I am a 2010 Stamps alum. And, I remember graduating and feeling like, how do I begin this? And so that entire summer I spent, meeting with a bunch of people, really kind of meeting with anyone that I could, and having those awkward conversations with a million people and saying, just introducing myself and getting to know people and applying to a million different places. And so eventually, I got offered an internship at a creative agency called Maloney and Fox in New York City. And I took that because it was a small agency. I felt like the environment was really approachable and I felt like I could contribute in some way. I just had a good feeling about this internship. So I took that internship and it eventually turned into a full-time job. This agency was really a PR agency, not even, they weren't doing traditional design, but I noticed a hole in the space, that they were always outsourcing design. So I kept raising my hand and saying, I can help out, I can do this. And while I still had to do my normal duties during the day, answer the phones, package FedEx boxes, get coffees, whatever it was, at night, I would do like invitation designs and whatever they needed, just to prove that this is like a valuable, thing that I could bring to the table. So, they hired me and I wound up, fast forward, I was there almost 3 years, and built a small art department there. Just over time, but I kept raising my hand saying, maybe we offer this capability, that capability. And I'm kind of summing it up. Of course, there was, I had to do a bunch of other things along the way. It wasn't easy, but I just kept saying, if we got another person to help out, we could build this, and I had amazing mentors there who kept encouraging me to do that. And I would probably still be there. I loved it so much. But they sold the agency in 2012. And I thought, now might be the right time to kind of start my own thing. I, did a mini version of it at this agency. What's the worst that could happen? So that was 13 years ago. And over time, so I started Marine Lane in 2012, and we've basically added a person every year. So we have 15, where offices are in 32nd and 5th. And we service clients ranging in all different mediums, and industries. So I've grown it slowly over the years, and yeah, that's kind of where the trajectory for how I got here.
Yeah. And Kristen.
Hi there. Great to hear your story as well, Megan. Not sure I knew kind of your full background. I'm a 2008 Stamps alum, and similar to Megan, I feel like it was just yesterday, kind of being in your shoes, and can completely relate to that feeling of where do I start, and just the anxiety that can come up of like not knowing what will come in the future. So definitely have a lot of empathy for that stage in sort of like transitioning from education to the working world. Upon graduating from Stamps, I landed a postgraduate internship at Nike. So I kind of packed my bags, flew out to Oregon with a suitcase and a dream. And I had a 3-month summer internship, and they had I believe they still have it, but they had and have a fantastic internship program. Like they really put a lot of emphasis and like weight on this internship program within the company. It's very esteemed. So I was one of like 20 design interns. I think there were about like 100 or 200 interns in total at World Headquarters. So that was like my dream job. Like I still don't know how I got this. Like it just like happened. And I started there that summer in a group called, well, it was Global Footwear Design. And basically it was like really high level creative direction for footwear. And so that what that involved was, you know, I'm not a footwear designer, I'm a graphic designer, but like it was more a higher level creative direction. So for example, we created the seasonal color palettes that created sort of like a cohesive color story for the season. And then that included like graphic packs and material swatches. So it was like very different from like anything I had studied, but it was really interesting to, it's a lot of like trend research, trend forecasting, but really, really conceptual and really interesting to kind of like learn the process of product development at a company like Nike. So as I said, I was there for 3 months. So that was like a finite, you know, internship. It wasn't a full-time job. And throughout that summer, I really networked hard. I really like worked my butt off to prove myself and create an impact there. And toward the end of the summer, the goal, if you will, was like to get your internship extended. It wasn't necessarily to like get a job. It was like, if you just get your internship extended, then that means like they want you, like they want to keep you around, and there might not be headcount or there might not be an open role. So I did that, and I did like, it was like the second last day of my internship, and they extended it. And I actually had 2 opportunities with the group I was with, and then a different group, because I did a ton of networking. I did like a test assignment with this other group that was t-shirt graphics. So I decided to move over to this t-shirt graphic department because I thought it was like more hands-on. I could kind of get my hands dirty with design a little more directly. So I did that. And then I stayed on that team for 2 or 3 years. And then the beauty of it being like at a huge company like this is you can switch roles and have like really different experiences. And it's almost like a whole new job. So after a few years there, I transitioned over to brand design, and that's more on the marketing side of the business. And I worked in Nike basketball for a couple of years, working on brands like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. And then I worked on this like global brand initiatives team where we did a lot of kind of like special projects and PR launches, a lot of brand experiences. So my time at Nike was really like a graduate school, if you will. Like I was able to just like really like learn and absorb from everyone around me. And it was just like such a cool place to kind of like continue my design education. And it really taught me a lot about how to think, how to think through the lens of a brand, how to create stories around a product. So that was like hugely educational for me. And I think that's one thing to keep in mind is like your education doesn't just stop when you graduate. And so I was there for about 8 years, and then I moved to New York and worked for PepsiCo for a couple of years. And that was just like, you know, it was a really tough decision to leave the job that I loved. But it was like an opportunity for more of a leadership position. And I led a couple beverage brands there, Mountain Dew and Aquafina, very different kind of industry, working in CPG. So I was there for a couple of years, and then I decided to start my own shop. And that was about 5 years ago now. So yeah, it was like kind of a radical departure because I don't really have agency experience. I didn't come up in the agency world like Megan did. I kind of took a 180, took a little bit of a leap of faith, but I just like the sort of like rung climbing of the corporate world was like not really doing it for me anymore. So I really wanted to like get back closer to the creative process and just be closer to the work and like the creativity. So it's been about 5 years. We have a small team. We're based in New York, but we're a fully remote team. So I'm actually in Mexico City right now. I kind of split time. I have a full-time art director in upstate New York, and I have a lot of contractors all over the world. So we have kind of like more of a lean, mean business model where we don't have like a full-time, like permanent office. We're all remote, and we just kind of try to keep it lean. We definitely pull from like my background. We work with a lot of sport and lifestyle type brands, food and bev. Pepsi's a client now as well. And we have like kind of a pretty even split between kind of big companies like Pepsi, Foot Locker, Wilson, like these big companies and startups. And that's like a really nice kind of sort of spectrum of like different flexing different kind of design and brand muscles. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my path.
You are both amazing. Thank you so much. So the next question I have, Megan, will come back to you. When I ask what are employers really looking for, what immediately comes to mind for you?
So similar to Kristen, we work in so many different industries that one of the biggest things I look for is this person a problem solver and are they resourceful? So I find, actually we recruit a lot from Michigan because I do find everyone is very resourceful and like always thinking about the process. And that is one of the biggest things because every week I truly don't know what I'm working on. Like every week is different, every day is different, putting out a different fire, figuring out a different solution to some problem I didn't know we had. So really looking for people that are able to like be like, okay, I got this, I can help. And I think the pace is really fast. So I think it really excites people, agency life, or it can kind of not be for everyone. So we're really looking for people that are like happy to hop on whatever and learn, and just be really curious, especially now with all of the AI stuff. I mean, like every week I'm like, have you guys, heard about this platform? I'd like you to use this for this instance and different things because, like Kristen said, it doesn't stop once you graduate. It's like it's in some ways just beginning because you have to figure out, how to maneuver in whatever role you're in. So definitely being a problem solver is big for me.
So I want to follow up real quick with you, Megan. When most people are applying for an opportunity, they're usually uploading a resume, portfolio, etc. If you're looking for a problem solver, somebody who is more solution focused, how can that come across to you in the material that people are submitting? How would somebody demonstrate that to you?
That's a really good question, and I wish I could figure that out. But, but I really only get to figuring that out during the interview process.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, oh, have you designed like an email newsletter? And then, sometimes most people like, no, we haven't, but like, I'd love to learn, like, like, oh, I'm sure I could figure it out, or like, just like an eagerness to say like, that they're interested, not just like no, I don't know, or anything
Yeah.
like that. So, but I'm so curious to, how to figure that out on the, on the resume.
But I love where you're coming from. So the materials are telling you something about what this person has done and what they're capable of doing
Yeah.
to get their foot in the door for an interview.
Yes.
But the make or break might be how are they addressing in the interview an example of their problem solving, an example of their being able to step up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Megan, thank you so much. So, Kristen, same question for you. I mean, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask what are employers really looking for?
Yeah, and I completely wholeheartedly agree with Megan's response, but I'm going to break it down into like brand world and agency world because I think it's a little bit different and I can kind of speak to both. So from a brand perspective, I think the criteria might be a little bit different because I think, let's just say like a company like Nike, like you're looking for a fit with the company, right? You're looking for somebody who might bring a passion of like sport and sneakers and culture and things like that. And I think that's important. I think like that fit is super important, and it's not something you can like force, or, you know, it's just it's what's natural. And I think with a bigger company like that, you're looking for somebody who can grow with the company, like somebody who you really want to invest in and like take a bet on. And it's like, you don't want this person to be there for like 2 years. Like you want this person to be there for a very long time. So you're looking for somebody that has like a long trajectory. And what does that mean on like a resume and portfolio? As I said, fit, like stellar portfolio. To be honest, I don't really look at resumes. Like I just like, I glaze over them, to be honest. I really just look at the portfolio and the work and maybe the process. Yeah, I think from a brand perspective, you're looking at people who can think. And that was something that we stressed a lot at Nike, was like, you know, the technical skills might come as you kind of like grow and improve, but like, how do you think, and can you kind of think through problems of a brand? I think sometimes I see when I'm working with younger designers that like they want to be told exactly what to do, and then that requires me to think through the problem, and then I might as well just do it myself, right? Like, so I really look for people who know how to think, because then I can say, hey, this needs to get done. Like I'm dealing with a lot of other things over here, so like, can you take this on and like think through that and solve it? And so the knowing how to think, I think, is really important, particularly from a brand perspective. And now from an agency perspective, a lot of those things like might still be true, but what I look for has shifted a bit, that I need someone who's a higher executor. Like I don't have time for like a contingency plan or a plan B. Like stuff needs to get done, and needs to get done well. And like we have deadlines that we need to deliver to the client. So like I need it to be like executed at a high level pretty quickly. We don't have like a whole team of like people that are just, you know, kind of, it's not as cushy, I guess. Like it's more lean. It's more like more is demanded from each person, I think. So that's something that I personally look for. And that's not to say that like, I don't look for the people who know how to think and problem solve and those kind of things, but that is most helpful for me right now in this stage of the business. John, you're on mute.
And that's why, you know, I have to remember to unmute. Thank you. Uh, these answers are amazing. Thank you. So both of you established your own agency, and in some ways you may overlap with the types of clients you're working with and the types of work that you're doing, but both of your agencies are unique to, you know, your own sort of sensibility. So with that in mind, what specifically sets your agency apart, and how does that influence the type of employee that you seek? And Kristen, if you don't mind picking this one up first, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked this question. I meant to mention this on the upfront intro. But I'd say we definitely have an aesthetic point of view within our agency, and we, as I said, like we definitely skew like sport and lifestyle and certain types of clients, but like we just got finished with a big project for like a maternity company. Like we're not industry exclusive. But what sort of kind of is the red thread through all of our work is this idea of being bold and this idea of cutting through the noise. And that I think it really excites our clients and prospective clients, is this idea of like, we're not going to do something that's kind of quiet and shy and in the background. Like we're going to do something that cuts through the noise. It's bold. It's sometimes it's playful. It's has like a really good sense of like scale and color. And that is definitely something I look for in people's portfolios, because I want it to be a good fit with the type of work that we do, the type of work that clients come to us for, and work that's exciting. Like it's got to be like fun and fresh and exciting and cool. So that's what I look for in portfolios. Mute again, John.
I should just keep myself off mute. Megan, over to you. Same kind of question. What about your agency gives it that sort of uniqueness, and then how does that influence what you look for?
Yeah, well, I think it's also interesting, like Kristen and I, women-founded agencies, which is such a rare thing today. So that is very cool having, founded an agency. I would say too, what sets us apart is our agency is really diverse. The individuals, it's kind of happened organically, but we're from all over the world, born in so many different countries. Obviously the US, but Honduras, Ecuador, Venezuela, London, Prague. We're actually all from all over the world and work together, which gives really interesting perspectives to all the work we do. And then just kind of similar to the problem solving that I mentioned, we don't really put guardrails on the types of projects we take on. So whereas Marine Lane started as, a traditional like design agency, and now we've expanded. We do naming, we do a lot of messaging, and just brand strategy as well. So just kind of an agency that is flexible with our clients, and also we kind of grow with our clients too. So we work with large brands, small brands, but we also act as kind of an art department for a lot of our clients. So we become like an extension of them. So, like we're kind of flexible in that way, diverse. And then similar to Kristen, actually, we adopted this model. There's this book called Smart Brevity, and it's all about just like communicating in concise phrases and visuals. And we've really like adopted that as part of our like kind of our ethos on our thread of steel. It's like, how do we communicate this in the simplest way possible that feels bold and really like, cuts through?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from both of you is that if I am a job seeker with, either one of your agencies, my best bet is to really look at what you create and get an understanding of that aesthetic and be able to demonstrate my understanding of, where are you coming from and what is valuable to you. That's what I'm getting here. Does that seem right?
Yeah, and I take that a step further, John, and say like seek out agencies or companies that are a natural fit for you, like versus trying to like mold yourself into what this agency wants. Like, what do you want? Like that's gonna be the most natural for you to kind of seek out what aligns with, your goals and aspirations and stylistic pursuits.
Love it. Yeah, yeah. Megan, any other
Yeah,
insight on
and
that?
I would say too, just even, when it's time to meet or have the interview, just going a step further too, digging into the agency's work. And obviously you're going to do your homework and really understand the projects, but like really try to bring that up too, and show your curiosity, not just like, oh, I like your work here. It's like, but why? Like what resonated with you? What follow-up questions did you have? Those are always show that you've done your homework, but are genuinely interested in the work that's being done.
And wanting to be a part of it. Yeah, yeah. Love it. Okay. So Megan, we're going to stick with you for a sec. When I speak with students about the internship and job search, I describe the three pillars. And the three pillars are effective materials, networking, and perseverance. So from your perspective, what am I leaving out?
I think those are great. I'll go back to something I said earlier just about like I just remember that like super awkward feeling of like reaching out, and just know that it's just going to be really hard, and like it'll get easier over time. Like the more kind of like awkward conversations and emails and like you reaching out over time, it'll just become more natural. But just like knowing that it's going to, it's some people it comes easy. It didn't come easy for me. I had to have so many of those conversations, write so many of those emails before I got comfortable with it. And then I would say, like, doing your homework too, on not only the work, but the people you're meeting with. I learned this from my colleague, Margie Fox. She always finds a way to research the person that we're meeting with and find some like kernel of a connection with that person that feels natural. Like if somebody was on an interview or you know, on their LinkedIn, they played a sport or something that you really connect with. It's not weird to say, oh, I noticed you do this. It's actually flattering for people to hear that you took the time. And it really like creates a connection and you never know where that will lead. So I think just doing a lot of homework on the company, but also the specific people you're meeting with.
Love it. Yeah. Kristen, anything to add and inform us?
Yeah, I would say communication, you know, just how does somebody speak? Like, is there a maturity there where like, you know, you can form your thoughts and you can communicate? And I think just sort of like the maturity factor is something I definitely look for. And I've been quite frankly really impressed. Like I felt like I was super awkward and like bumbling when I was in y'all's shoes and like just I don't know, I just like or maybe like hyper formal. Like I just felt like nervous to talk to people, you know, and I've been really impressed with like people's ability to like articulate and converse. And you know, I found that like I we hire interns from Michigan and you know, particularly Michigan students, like there's just like a well-roundedness about people and this ability to communicate has been really impressive. Whereas, you know, I have to be honest, sometimes when I speak to students that are from like art schools, they're not as good communicators. So that's something I definitely look for. Like, you know, we're a small team. We're gonna have like conversations daily. Like, we need to be able to just like have like open, like mature, like strategic conversations. And yeah, so I think just like how somebody talks and articulates is important.
I love this. For the students who are on the call with us today, in case you did not know, I mean, both of these women are number one alums from STAMS. Number two, created their own agencies. But even like better, maybe number three, both of them have taken on interns from the STAMS school. I believe Megan has actually hired people even after they graduate. Kristen, I can't remember. Have you also hired people after they
Full
graduate?
time, just
Yeah.
interns and freelancers.
Yeah, because of the contract work that you do and it's remote. Yeah. So just so you know, um, these are incredible alums who make my job easier. So thank you both for that. Um, so speaking of your agencies, what advice do you have for job seekers, either, you know, for your agencies? We've talked about what you look for, but maybe even in general, what advice do you have? What are employers really looking for? Jump in either one.
You know, I can go kind of tactically, like with literally what I do. So when somebody applies, I was thinking about this because, you know, I think on the client side, it's a more formal process, perhaps. With the agency side, we like just literally what we do is you know, we have an email alias and we'll see the resume, but like similar to Kristen, we don't like study the resume. I'll just click on it to see if it's generally formatted nicely because we get a lot of resumes that are kind of just like there was no thought put into this. I'm like, okay, if they can't format a one pager, we're not moving on. So just look at that and then click right onto the work. And you know, if that kind of is great. Honestly, I'll check out their social handles. So if there's like Instagram on there, I'll click on that. And that, you know, it kind of I get to know the person, see like, are they posting about their work or just like going to cool restaurants or like, what's the vibe? Like, everyone is being Googled today. So I'll go on the social handles. And then just in terms of if somebody, we're interested or the timing's right to move forward with like an interview, looking for somebody that's like quick to respond to, like, not sitting on an email for days about like what time to get together, just that shows that they're responsive. And then on the interview front, just making sure that the vibe is good and people are like happy to be there. I think a lot of times when candidates could be nervous, there's not the personality could come through more, and like just showing that somebody's like excited to have a conversation is something we look for. And then the last thing is like the thank you note. I'm so big on, like, it's amazing how many people don't write a thank you note. And because we're, a customer, we're like a service agency, that is so important for like our designers get to know our clients so intimately that like if they don't write a thank you note to me, like what are they going to write to a client? So like just checking those boxes, that's literally, what we look for.
And I have to stick with the thank you note for just a second. I don't know how many thank you emails I've written to both of you. But do you draw a distinction between a thank you note, a physical note, and a thank you email? Do you make a distinction there?
I think it's good, like ideally, sure, both. I think sending a thank you note, at least on email, like right away, like, or the next day. Because sometimes the mail takes a bit, but like if somebody's taking the time to write a handwritten thank you note, like that's really nice.
Yeah.
It stays on your desk and you're like, oh yeah, I like this person.
Yeah. I tell students this too, so good. Okay. Kristen, so what advice, either for your agency in general, what advice do you have?
Yeah, I'm gonna reiterate the thank you note just real quick. Totally agree. I'm almost like offended if people don't. It's like, okay, take the time, and like, and I just think it just shows maturity. As I said, like it's just maturity, like, and like knowing how to do things properly and like behave as like an adult properly. Sorry if that sounds condescending, but it's just like manners, you know what I mean? So so what do I look for? I like, as I said, I don't really look at the resume, like similar to Megan, like I just sort of look at if it's like formatted, like if like the design layout is nice. And like I'm not expecting you to have like a lot of experience. So I'm not checking out a resume to see what kind of experience you have. I really look at the portfolio and I know within like 5 seconds whether that's like a conversation I want to have. So really like how you're present. It's not just the work, and I'm sure you've heard this before. I remember hearing it when I was in school too, but it's not just the work, it's how you're presenting the work. And this is like kind of a small but big thing, is like present your work in a way that's like really polished, like mock it up on billboards. Like it doesn't have to be like real. It doesn't have to actually be like a billboard. Like mock it up on a phone, mock it up on a billboard, like mock it up on really cool like things. Like there's tons of like stock like mock-ups out there now. Like pay $25 and buy some mock-up stocks and like mock it up and make it like the presentation look really good. Because that's the thing where I'm like, oh, boom. Like if it's like I'm seeing a lot of like little things and little sketches, and like I love to see the process, but like if it's not like having that breakthrough, like boom, like this looks great, then I'm probably going to glaze over it and like move on to the next one. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but like, similar to Megan, like she kind of goes through, has like all the, the email alias and everything. It's like, think about somebody that's like going through like a bunch of portfolios at one time, and they're not going to really like laser focus on like every word and everything. Like think like broad strokes, immediate reaction, like put that lens on, and how would you kind of look at it through that lens? Yeah, it's really like, for me, it's just like, it's really the quality of work. And then when you get on a phone call, I'm really informal with like the way that I chat with like prospective interns or freelancers or full-time employees. I just want to get to know you. I want to see your vibe. I just want to see like, again, how you communicate. And if that's a good fit. And just I like to get a sense of like well-roundedness, like somebody who's a well-rounded person that isn't just like, you know, like an artist in a dark room, like doing your thing, like you like that you can communicate, that you're like in the world, that you have other interests, that like you're a well-rounded person.
Yeah, I love this. This is great. Thank you both so much. Um,
The mock-ups is such a good tip. I mean, there's so many great sites you can go to, like Mockup Mason, and like it really elevates the work. It takes it out of like just like a little sketchbook thing, and it really makes it feel on a different level. I think that's a great suggestion.
so I am dropping a link into Mockup Maison right now. So anybody who's on the call who wants to check out Mockup Maison, the link is now in the chat. That's a great resource. Thank you, Megan. So what I'd like to do, because we definitely still have time, for any of the students who are on the call, if you have questions for either Megan or Kristen or both, you can either raise your hand and, just ask the question, or if you're more comfortable dropping the question into the chat, that is fine as well. So I realize at this point, usually we need to take a beat for anybody who's madly typing into the chat. Um, so we'll just take a beat here and see if anything pops up in the chat. In the meantime, many of the students on the call today actually did submit questions ahead of time, and one of them that I am really curious to hear your response to, and this is probably more about maybe somebody interested in an internship than somebody in a full-time or contract job with you, but literally, do you need a web portfolio, or can you have a PDF portfolio and that can serve as well? So I think it's sort of like a preference question. Ultimately, I think everybody should have a web portfolio, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Either one.
I can jump in on that. Either one is perfectly fine with me personally. If it's a PDF, I prefer an attachment. Just like if you can just eliminate any like friction points, if you have to like click and then download, and then it's a 100 megabyte download, and then I have to wait for that, and then I might get distracted, like just eliminate points of friction. But either is like perfectly fine with me. It's easy to click through a PDF, just as easy as it is to like, maybe even easier to like scroll through a website. But it's nice to see how somebody like, I'm always excited to see how somebody like designs a website, because like,
Yeah.
well, simplicity is better than, err on the side of simplicity. But if I click on it and it just like looks like kind of unprofessional, or there's like, it looks, I don't know, then it just like, again, it's that immediate reaction. So I think you can tell a lot by like how somebody chooses, like the choices they make in designing their web portfolio.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and Megan, your thoughts?
Yeah, mine's like the same. Like a PDF that's not like 1,000 megabytes is good, but I think website preferred, just because we do a lot of digital work, and there's like you could do your site on Wix, Squarespace. Like there's some good templates. You just pop in your work and get a .com. So yeah, but both work.
Yeah. So as you just mentioned, you work a lot in the digital space. I've seen Multi and the work that Multi produces that seems to remain in the digital space as well. Is there ever a time that you would want to see a physical, an old-fashioned physical portfolio?
No. I mean, I haven't really thought of it. I guess if we're meeting, and I guess it's just the nature of like our business, because we're like remote and we're more like technologically savvy. So I guess like there's just not really like an opportunity for that necessarily. We're in New York, we have small spaces, we don't want to like accumulate stuff, so It's easier to like also bookmark. Like I have a whole Excel spreadsheet of like prospective people I might want to work with, and I just everything's in one place with links and whatnot.
Yeah.
So me, no, but like if you are going into an interview, like, and I don't know, you feel passionate about print work and that I mean, don't rule it out. It just might not be worth like the time and the expense and the effort, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Um, Actually, something that somebody did that I thought was, this is so, I don't know why it made a difference, but they like they had a website, and then when they came in and were meeting with somebody else, they actually had like a personalized PDF, and it was like, "Hi, so and so," and like I don't know, it just felt like a more like they really thought about it, and just a little like separate PDF, but it was personalized. I just thought that was nice.
Yeah, and you just put your finger on another question that a student submitted before, um, which is like, okay, I have my web portfolio, but it's not tailored toward a specific organization. It might be tailored toward a specific type of organization, but it's not tailored toward different jobs. And so what the student really wrote was how to adjust portfolio to various different jobs. And you just put your finger, if people are open to a personalized PDF for that specific opportunity, that might actually be advantageous.
Hmm. Yeah, we actually do that at our company. Is we have this Figma file that's like way too long. It's like 300 pages. And then depending on who we're meeting with, we like export the pages that are relevant to that client and then change the name to hi, blah, blah, blah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hadn't
that's
thought about this before, but I think having both, maybe have like even on your PDF portfolio that might be tailored specifically to Marine Lane or to multi, um, but tailor the actual images toward what they think you would be most interested in. And then if you want to see more, they're giving you the option to go to the site.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like this idea.
And it's actually striking me that the job search you all are soon to be undertaking is like very similar to us like seeking out new clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like we have to tailor to like clients, and we have to we have to send thank you notes, and we have to follow up and have good manners and like communicate well and like sell ourselves. It's kind of funny. So but what was I going to say? Uh so what were we talking about? What was the question?
So PDF versus URL.
Yeah, okay. I had another point I wanted to mention, which I think is a great thing, is to just have like a little leave behind, like a little, it can just be like a 6x8 card or something that's just like nice. It's just like, oh, interesting, cool. Or like maybe it's something that like piques someone's interest. Like say you are a graphic designer, but you do on the side like printmaking. Like maybe make like a little print and like give it to them. Like something that's like kind of just like a nice, like cute, like, oh, cool, like, oh, this is so sweet, like those are little like nice little touches that are don't hurt.
So I want to move to another question that a student submitted ahead of time. And this is a question I don't think I've ever seen before, but I really am intrigued by your response. So what the question boils down to, because remember what are employers really looking for? Is it more compelling for somebody to have flexibility? Is it more compelling for somebody to demonstrate initiative? What would be more important to you, flexibility or initiative?
Mhm.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I didn't, this is not my question.
For me, I think flexibility might be a tad more important like early on, but then like kind of growing into that initiative. Like I even do this with like some of my employees that have 10 years of experience. And it's like, I'm still coaching them on like, hey, like, don't wait till I tell you exactly what to do. So I have to like delegate every single thing you're doing. Like, I want to see you like come up with ideas, or like, what did I not think of? You know, like, I think that's something that like is constantly something you can like grow and learn and grow into. You're not just going to be like born with that. And it's like a little bit of like gaining the confidence and like the feeling like you're in a safe space to like be able to do that, and like that you're not going to be like rejected, that you can like come up with ideas and it's going to be welcomed, you know? So I'd say like the flexibility might be a little more important earlier on, where it's like, I think Megan said this earlier, like, you know, sometimes we just have to have you like jump on different tasks, and like they might be like it might be like researching competitors of our client, and then it might be like we need to, you know, like mock up a, you know, business cards or something, and then we need you to like jump on like social media research. Like it just might be like really wide ranging things that just having that can do attitude and be like, yeah, okay, I can do it. Or like, oh, I'm not used to like researching this thing or mocking up this thing, but like I'm just gonna figure it out, you know? So yeah, that would be my response.
I like that. It's an and both, flexibility in the beginning, initiative maybe down the road. So
Yeah, I think that's a like perfect answer. I didn't know how to answer that. I think that's spot on too. It's like also taking the learnings from being flexible and saying like the next time, oh, maybe we should do the mock-up of the business card like we did for the last one, or like taking what you learned from being flexible and applying it.
yeah, I love it. Okay. Um, we are gonna wrap up. You two have been absolutely amazing. In terms of final thoughts, obviously anything you want to impart is great, but also if somebody wants to be in touch with you, you know, letting them know what is the best way to be in touch with you. So, Megan, final thoughts and what's the best way to be in touch?
Actually, I think this is the same question. So for me, like Megan at marinelane.com is my email. I'll type in it. But my final thoughts are this. It relates to reaching out. Because if somebody doesn't respond, or get back to you, like I wouldn't consider that rejection. I would just like keep going. Like if you're really interested in like a company, or I wouldn't take it personal unless somebody says stop, then stop. But like we've had like when we're going for new business, there are people that are just like not ready to work together or just like ghost us, and we just kind of keep every few months keeping in touch, like, oh, you know, hope you're doing well, here's something we just worked on. It's just not giving up either. So I will respond. I'm not gonna not respond. But but like I think that is one. Just like don't give up. Like definitely keep in touch with people along the way. And two, like your colleagues at Michigan, your peers. I've collaborated with so many people at Michigan, and that's really where like your network starts is your peers, and you'll be collaborating with them, and just staying in touch.
I will attest, Megan has never ghosted me, so I can attest. Kristen, final thoughts and best way to be in touch.
Yeah, I completely agree with the follow-up. There's a lot of times where it's not personal at all. It just like slips through the cracks, or it's like just dealing with other things. I may have not even like clicked on it, you know. So follow up in like maybe like a week or two, like give a little bit of time, because like somebody just might need time to like get back. Maybe they're really involved in a, you know, deeply involved in a project, and they just need to come up for air and like be able to have the time and space to like address different things. So follow up in like a week or two. And then like Megan said, like cultivate the relationship, follow up in a couple months. Like, hey, I just did this new project. Like I wanted you to check it out, or ask for advice. Like ask for like, hey, do you mind looking at this and, you know, giving me feedback? How can I do better? You know? And that's how I find that a really nice quality of like willingness to learn and grow and like, and reach out and not be afraid to like ask those questions. And I'll say that I'm likely to take a call with a Michigan grad. Like if a random person emails me and is like, hey, can you hop on a phone? I'll be like, no, I don't know. Like I don't have time, you know, but I definitely have like a space in my heart for for Michigan and stamps. And like, I really enjoy connecting with Michigan students and grads. So I'm definitely more likely to kind of take a call and like make that like initial face-to-face interaction. I think that goes a long way because then you're not just like a random person like in the interwebs, like you're a person. So if you are able to like just get a face-to-face chat, even if it's like 20 minutes, you know, that just helps to like put a face to a name to a portfolio and like put a human behind it. So I definitely encourage that whenever it's possible. Yeah, I'll put my info in the chat, website, which we're about to relaunch. I'm very eager to relaunch it. I'll put Instagram, website, and email. And you can email or DM me on Instagram is fine too.
Yeah. Both of you, number one, thank you for staying in touch with me over all this time, for volunteering your time to not just do this panel, but Portfolio Expo and all of the other amazing things that as alums you contribute to. I say it, but I don't know that everybody completely gets it. I literally can't do what I do without you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope for the students who are on the call and who will see the recording later that this has been helpful. And oh, we have thank yous coming in the chat. Yay. So I'm gonna end the recording now. And